Happy third day of Easter, friends. The President of the United States has officially lost his mind, betrayed God, the American people, small children, and now baseball. Really? Baseball? I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance.
Welcome to today's broadcast, friend. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, whether he is legitimate in your eyes or not, just like Obama, just like Trump thought he was not a legitimate president, doesn't matter. He's in the office, okay? He has signed a proclamation honoring transgender, calling for openness, saying what a wonderful lifestyle this is. And I'm sorry that we have to talk about this on Christian television, but friends, there are so few voices in radio and in television and in American clergy. There are so few voices anymore that are crying out as watchmen on the wall against these evils. There are things that we cannot even openly discuss with some of our children and our grandchildren. A few days ago, I did the program on DC and Marvel, introducing a whole slew of homosexual, lesbian, transgender, queer, and binary or questioning or bisexual, all this craziness. And there are things that are happening that good form, good just politeness would keep us from wanting to discuss. I was born in 1959. I hate to disclose my age. But in 1959, if a preacher or a priest or a pastor got up in the pulpit and started talking about baby killing and homosexuality and kids getting condoms and birth control in public school and the prayer being illegal in schools and the Ten Commandments being torn down from the walls in schools and in our public buildings, if that had been discussed from an American pulpit, that pastor or priest would have been fired or put under some type of psychiatric evaluation. That which was unspeakable and would have been viewed as crazy talk is now accepted. But worse, if you oppose this agenda, you are the enemy. Those of us who want to protect our children and our grandchildren from this insanity, these evils, we are the enemy. And so what is the response of most of the Christian community? Silence. The leaders, I'm talking about our leaders, pastors of mega churches, bishops in the Catholic Church. I have a friend who is contemplating the diaconate, becoming a deacon in the Catholic Church. And it's a long ordeal. It's a big deal in the Catholic Church to become a deacon. It's holy orders. He was shocked. He's almost finished his first year in a 5-year journey. Shocked to find out that when the bishop met with all these potential deacons, right off the bat, he said, we don't want to hear anything about politics in these meetings. I said, excuse me? He was shocked. And I said, and I'll say to you, well, if a person who wants to be a deacon believes that he can ethically vote for a man who is promoting the murder of babies, who is promoting homosexual or lesbian so-called marriage, and now is openly promoting the transgender lifestyle, which leads to genital mutilation, all right? Or the abuse of chemicals. If a person cannot say, excuse me, Bishop, excuse me, I think that it would be unethical for us to vote for that person. Shouldn't we tell people in our churches that it's unethical to support somebody who supports crimes against God and children? Crimes against the sacrament of marriage? Shouldn't it be our duty to, kind of guide the flock? And yet you've got a bishop who says, we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to know your position. Is it any wonder, friends, that we're losing the country? Dumb dogs. Benedict XVI quoted the passage in Isaiah where he talks about leaders being like dumb dogs who don't know how to bark. Watchmen on the wall who are blind. What good is a watchman that can't see? What good is a watchman that doesn't cry out warning? What good is a dog who's a watchdog that doesn't bark when there is danger? They're no good. They're useless. And so as I watch what Biden is doing, we're going to play a clip from his most recent insanity when we come back from this break. But when I watch what Biden is doing, and then I listen, and I hear crickets, silence from so many of our Christian leaders of every denomination. I fear. Because if watchmen on the wall aren't doing their job, then it means that the enemy can not just come to the gate, but can get in the city. Where are we? Where are we in this journey, in this descent into darkness? I don't know. But I know that the fault, to quote Francis Schaeffer, to paraphrase the late Dr. Francis Schaeffer, the fault can be laid directly at the foot of American silent clergy. You know what you could do? Send this link to your pastor or to your priest. I mean, it's a really simple inventory. When was the last time you heard your pastor from your church preach from the pulpit that to support these politicians with our vote makes us an accessory to their crimes, makes us complicit in their sins? If I vote for someone to kill a Jew, then I'm connected to the anti-Semitism. If I vote for someone to own a slave, then I'm connected to that slavery. I mean, the Southern Baptist Convention apologized a few years back for its role in giving Christian imprimatur, Christian permission, imprimatur, Christian blessing to owning slaves, because it was a sin. What they did was a sin, and they apologized. Okay? Rightly so. Ask your pastor, ask your priest to watch this, just this one episode, just this one segment, and see what they say. Pastor, preacher, talk show host, why do you hold your tongue? Why are you a dumb dog? What are you afraid of? The fear of man brings a snare. You are called to be a shepherd. A good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Jesus said it is the hireling who flees. The person who views it as a job, not a calling, but a job. What are you afraid of, Pastor? What are you afraid of? Who are you serving? God or man? God or mammon? I'll be right back. Welcome back to the program, friend. After the debacle of alleged and probable voter fraud in the last election in multiple states, a lot of the states said, okay, we're going to address this. Now, the U.S. House is passing or trying to pass a law, with President Biden wanting it done, that would just open a floodgate of voter fraud. Let me ask you a question. Can you get on an airplane without ID? Nope. Can you open a bank account without ID? Nope. Can you get the vaccination for COVID, which is so important, without ID? Nope. In a lot of states, you can't get a driver's license. Can you get a driver's license without ID? No. Can you get a library card? Well, in some areas, you have to have some form of ID. Just go think about renting an apartment, buying a car. Just go down the list where you are required to show this is who I am. But to vote on the direction of the republic, to vote for politicians who make laws that will affect the entire nation, no ID required. It's ludicrous. On its face, it's stupidity. But it's more than stupidity. It's malice. It is an invitation to voter fraud. They know that the vast majority of illegal immigrants in this country are Hispanic. They also know that 80% of them will vote Democrat. Okay? Now, that just deals with illegal immigrants. For people who want to deliberately set out to commit voter fraud, voting multiple times, stacking up ballots, like we saw some of those ballots in the last election that were never folded. How did they get there unfolded? They had to be folded to get to where they were supposed to be. So all these questions, what was the common string? No one ever got to check for ID. No one ever checked to see if this person was really who they said they were. Is the person dead? Is the person alive? Do they have multiple addresses? Let's watch the clip of what the president said.
I think today's professional athletes are acting incredibly responsibly. I would strongly support them doing that. People look to them. They're leaders. Look at what's happened with the NBA as well. Look at what's happened across the board. The very people who are victimized the most are the people who are the leaders in these various sports. And it's just not right. This is Jim Crow on steroids, what they're doing in Georgia and 40 other states. What it's all about.
So here Georgia sets out to remedy this. And the president of the United States lies and says this is Jim Crow on steroids. Who said it was targeted at black people? See, he's playing the race card. It was a lie. This is not about race. This is about who are you? Are you who you say you are? Now, maybe he believes, maybe President Biden believes that the preponderance of voter fraud is being committed by people of color. I mean, he's the one who brought up Jim Crow, not the legislature in Georgia. So he's also encouraging the boycott of a state. So the players in baseball are talking about taking certain games, like the All-Star game, out of Georgia. That'll have a horrible economic impact on them. And it sets a horrible standard. Baseball is supposed to be America's pastime. We set politics aside. We all come and hang out, and we cheer, and we eat popcorn, and we go home, either having our team won or having had our team lose. But no, now, these great leaders, and they're the ones that are affected. Really? Multi-millionaire baseball and football and basketball players are the ones affected by having to show identification to vote? Are you kidding me? Now, I know that he probably didn't mean what he said about that. He's having trouble stringing sentences together right now. But make no mistake, this is about knowingly supporting voter fraud. Having to show your ID to join the U.S. military. You want to fight in the military? You want to join the military? You have to show ID. Do you want to vote for people who control the military? No ID required. Does that sound insane to anybody besides me? So, what we are witnessing is the unraveling of the republic. I'm going to talk about that when we come back. I wish it was brighter news. I mean, the great news is that there is still truth with a capital T, and Jesus Christ conquered death. He conquered death. Things are going to get worse in this country, but we have our hope set on a kingdom that is not of this world. but we still have a duty as citizens of that kingdom to strive, as the Lord taught us to pray, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I promise you, there's no one killing babies in heaven. There's no one parading around saying, let's have homosexual marriage in heaven. There's no one saying the angels or the humans that are there, the spirits that are there, let's have transgenderism. No. So as citizens of heaven, we are still required to stand for the kingdom of heaven and the laws of God here in this earth. I'll be right back. When the enemy gets inside the gate, inside the walls, or inside whatever moat or buffer zone there is, you know that it's a different battle. It's a different game. I often think about the fall of Constantinople, now Istanbul. It was the jewel of the East. It was the new Rome. It had the most magnificent church in the history of the world, Hagia Sophia. Learning, an underwater aqueduct to feed the city with clear, fresh water. It was just unthinkably beautiful city, unthinkably amazing. And the Muslims wanted that city. And with the fall of Constantinople came the loss of huge swaths of Christian territory. So if you read the book of Revelation, you'll see the names of these various churches: Ephesus, Thyatira, Laodicea, Galatia, the book of Galatians. These are all areas that are completely overrun. Churches decimated. The population of Christianity, maybe 1%. It used to be the hub of Christianity. When the Muslims were surrounding the city, they couldn't get in a really narrow strait to get their ships in where they could actually attack the city. So what they did one night was that they took the boats over dry land and then got them into the harbor. They waited for a moonless night. They put massive logs under the ships and they rolled them about 6 miles over ground, pulling them, rolling them, putting these logs in front. And the next morning, when the people of Constantinople woke up, the ships were in the harbor. And it wasn't long after that the city fell. And they rode chariots into Hagia Sophia, the church, killed the priests, raped the nuns. It was unthinkable desecration, murder, slaughter. I don't know where we are, but the people of that city began mourning grieving when they saw the ships in the harbor, because they knew that they were not going to be able to prevail. They knew. I don't know where we are. I don't know if we could look at what's going on in the country right now and say the ships are in the harbor. But I know this: if resistance does not emerge from somewhere, we will not get this republic back in my lifetime. Because there's just simple math. Once the city of Constantinople fell, it was simple math. The Muslims were going to control all of Turkey, and they were going to eradicate Christianity, which they did. Joe Biden doesn't want to quite eradicate Christianity. Ocasio-Cortez, not quite. They just want to eradicate the public proclamation of Christianity and Christian virtue and Christian law, and keep it completely separate from civil law, which in the end is what happens to Christians and Christian churches in Islamic countries. They become second-class citizens, and the laws of Christ are null and void, to be shunned. I've got to take a break. I'll be right back. Welcome back, friend. In case you have not seen it, oh my goodness, The Chosen, the TV series, unbelievable. The first of the second season came out on Easter Sunday, and it was just amazing. It brought me to tears yet again. If you have not seen that series, I heartily encourage you to find it. You have to sign up for something. I'm sure there's a little fee we had to pay. It's amazing. It is, without question, the best depiction of Jesus and the apostles that I have ever seen in a movie or a TV series or anything. It's mind-boggling. We are committed on this program to bring in the truth. And I ask you if you believe in what we are doing to help us, to support us. If you go to my website, randallterry.com, a lot of the stuff there is free. There's a phone number there you can call if you want to order stuff, if you want to call by phone and make a contribution, if you want to call online and make a contribution. We have been offering these guitars and put people as an honorary producer in our next movie. I'm sad to say in the last week, last 10 days, we've only had one person take advantage of it. So I know that there are a lot of people requesting money from you, and I respect that you have to make decisions. But if you are in a position where you could help us, we really need your help. We've got a great movie coming out soon, a family-friendly, fun time travel movie that you would love to watch with your kids. And we're moving forward, and we're gonna make more films, TV. We're swinging for the fences, but we need your help. God bless you. See you next time.